the most part, like when in doubt, write it down, root cause analysis, figure out what happened, and figure out how to prevent it from happening again if you can. So OSHA inspections. The Occupational Safety and Health Act has got a board of inspectors, and they will show up at your company for one of two reasons. Well, maybe one of three reasons. Number one, you have a spike in your incident rate, meaning it's getting worse. They might show up. Number two, you're a big company and they can affect a lot of people. So you'll find a lot of OSHA inspections at, Amazon, Costco, Walmart, stuff like that. Because if they can make a change, it can impact and help a lot of people because it's a large organization, just straight in size. But the third reason, and probably the most common reason that you have an OSHA inspection, the surprise OSHA inspection, would be that somebody made a call. And I think this is probably known at this point, but if employees make a call to OSHA, an accusation, think of it like they're making a call to the EEOC, making an accusation. The same retaliation principles apply. We cannot retaliate against an employee. Hey, you called the government on us, I thought you were on our team, etc. Nope, they have the absolute freedom and right to do that, and no retaliation against them accordingly, otherwise there are legal consequences. So someone comes to the door for an inspection. You can ask for the credentials. That's fine. Initially, you can even decline if you want to. I don't recommend it. I use the analogy of I review papers, right? Academic papers for publication. My job, my eye and my mind is trained to find problems in papers. Weak arguments, poor citations, statistical errors, stuff like that. So with any paper, I can find something wrong, and that's just what my eye was trained for. Safety inspectors are the same thing. They can walk into any company and find something wrong. And if you deny them at the door, force them to go get a warrant to show up, chances are they're going to find a lot of things wrong, and it's not going to go well for you. So my experience with OSHA investigations has been fine. People come up and say, "Yeah, it's great. Well, let's walk around, show me what you see, and kind of partner with them." I've heard horror stories when they're particularly angry, but I haven't experienced that myself. So an inspection is there. Yes, it is legal. Yes, they do have the authority to do it. And if they find things, they may cite you. So if there are 4 different citations, well, sort of 5 different citations you can get. One of them is called imminent danger. That's the worst. That means someone's about to die. You're going to get cited for that. You're probably going to get fined for that. The next one down is serious. It means, hey, like somebody could get really hurt here. Chances are will probably be cited for that as well. There's one called other than serious, impact employees' health or safety, but it probably wouldn't really maim somebody or kill somebody. You may or may not get cited for that. When I say cited, I mean fined. You'll certainly get a violation, get a write-up that you'll need to deal with. So that the top one is imminent danger, kind of works its way down to the last one being de minimis. It means it's not a big deal, but hey, as soon as you get a chance, get over there and take care of whatever the issue is. No doors in the bathroom stalls, whatever. There's a weird category that can affect any of them, and that's called willful and repeated. It means an OSHA inspector showed up to my job site and people weren't wearing hard hats and they were operating, under someone laying bricks or something. And they say, hey, that could really mess somebody up. We're going to cite you for that and get it fixed. Then they come back a week later and the same thing is happening. It means it's willful. You knew better and you did it anyway, and it's repeated. This is the same thing more than once. Those almost always incur a pretty significant financial penalty, and have not taken care of civil penalty as well. Okay, when there is an accident, what is kind of the recognized protocol to respond to it? So we'll do this in class sometimes. I'll say, okay, if you go in factory floor and somebody is bleeding, from their arm, it's bad. What do you do? And they're like, well, we call 911, and then we, ask the person if they're okay. I'm like, yeah, sort of. The first thing you do is you stop and you look and go, what caused this? And you unplug the freaking machine. Like whatever the threat is, neutralize the threat immediately. Then go to the person, right? Perform first aid if you can, call 911, etc. You also want to take a quick look around the room. The idea is, who saw this? Because we're going to need to do an investigation, and we want to know what happened, how this person got hurt. So neutralize the threat, attend to the person, and as you're attending to the person, be like, okay, you go to whatever, 3 different offices. Don't let them hang out. Don't put them in a room. Think of it like you're conducting an investigation, an EEO investigation. Like, you ever watch, CSI, on TV or something like that. You want to separate the witnesses, otherwise they begin talking, and then the stories begin to change. And you want independent verification. You figure out what happened. I said identify kind of a root cause analysis. What was the problem here? And then you may want to do a drug test to the person if there's suspicion, under reasonable suspicion, or in cases of accidents, or 2 common ways that we do that. And then you figure out how to solve the problem, make sure it doesn't happen again. So just to restate, one of the things that people forget to do is neutralize the threat. So you're over there working with someone, giving them first aid, and then somebody else gets hurt. So that would be the first thing. I mentioned drug tests. This is kind of interesting in states like Washington and Colorado with new marijuana laws. But when talking about substance abuse, think about something broader. Someone showing up, high on heroin, crack, something like that. We'll deal with marijuana here as well. But the use of illicit substances or the misuse of controlled substances. So people addicted to prescription drugs, alcohol, stuff like that, affecting the workplace. There's a lot of different ways that we can test for that. Your analysis are about 95% accurate. There are ways to dupe them through dilution and adulterants. It's about an extra $5 to test for those. So some people say, oh, if you take this, you'll pass the urinalysis. Yes, we can test for that. We're pretty good at chemistry at this point. Surface swiping, you can do that. Fitness for duty tests. Usually we do that for alcohol, but they're not particularly accurate. It's a lot of subjective judgment kind of involved in it. So, common signs of substance abuse. I love seeing these types of charts because I look at it and go, fatigue, slurred speech, tiredness. I'm thinking, like, that's a common sign of being a parent too. So your judgment on this will matter, but we don't go just off of this. Some of these things might be enough to create what's called reasonable suspicion, and you can say, okay, go get a drug test. And if they refuse, then you consider it as a failed drug test. That'll be in your policy manual, at least it should be. But this alone isn't conviction. This is really loose evidence. You're going to want an actual chemical drug test. This is what you might look for. If someone's in an accident and they've displayed these behaviors over the last week or two, you're like, all right, yeah, we're gonna drug test here. From a security perspective, one of the things that we think about is like violence. There's obviously active shooter training available. Many local precincts, like police officers, will actually come into organizations many times for free and even give active shooter training. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing to do, take advantage of if you would like to do that. But a big thing on this is kind of anticipation, right? Usually what happens with a violent employee is there's kind of a trajectory of behavior and a defensiveness and an escalation, but there's like a jolt or a trigger moment. Usually it's something at home. It's a fight with a kid, it's a divorce, it's a bankruptcy, it's something, and then that spills over into work. So those are the kind of things that we look for in kind of an anticipation to shut it down more quickly if we can. Other things we can see, this isn't necessarily violence, but workplace incivility, bullying, stuff like that. This is it's going to happen, I think, in the future more than it happens now. But remember, under OSHA, there is a general duty clause that there's a healthy work environment. Remember, the definition of health includes emotional well-being. So I think we'll probably see a time when like bully managers or abusive managers becomes a violation of OSHA. That's kind of creeping up now. There's more awareness of things like bullying and cyberbullying after high school campaigns. Once those workers hit the workforce, they'll be salient to it. They'll recognize it. So I think this is coming more. In the meantime, it's something that HR people think about in terms of we're architecting a culture and we have incivility and bullying, then we need to deal with that. Some of that can be done through selection batteries as well, hiring for personality traits. So anyway, well, I was mentioning on workplace violence, what we're looking for is like a trajectory. Once we start hitting level 1, a lot of that can be personality. Once we start hitting level 2, we go, okay, now we're talking about threats. That's a little different. Then, of course, level 3 need to engage quickly. Some other things on workplace security. So disaster preparation and recovering. I remember I was at Boeing and there was an earthquake, and everybody's like getting under their desk and getting in doorways, and I'm like, whatever, peace out. I was in a big concrete building. So I hit the stairs, booked it out of there, ran out to the parking lot, and saw the light poles like squeaking back and forth, and then it stopped. I'm looking around going, well, I ain't going back in. Got my car and drove home. Thought it was great. Got a call that evening from my senior manager in a panic because I didn't meet at the rendezvous place, which was the disaster escape. We all met there except James. So like, oh well, James maybe is dead in the building somewhere. No, James just left. So it's good to have these things, but that was a fun reminder to say it's also good to train employees on these things. So what do we do if we have hazard materials and they begin to leak? We need to contain them. Is there somebody there who's certified in first aid or CPR? How do we contact people after a case of a disaster, stuff like that? So we document it, we build a plan, and that's part of employees' orientation when they come on board, so they're aware of it. This is kind of interesting. So right now, it seems like every couple of years there's a new strain of flu, pig flu, swine flu, SARS, coronavirus, whatever, that freaks somebody out and hurts a lot of people. And we think about, okay, at what point would we say don't come to work? At what point would we suspend operations? And for the operations manager who wears a mask, they say, oh, well, never, because there's work to be done. Well, no, because you endanger employees. There's not only a human and a moral component to that, there's also a business component to that if all your employees get sick or people begin to die because you expose them to something. So there isn't like general rules on this other than this needs to be on the radar screen. There has to be a mark of, okay, when this happens, we say, everybody stay home, we're going to suspend operations until whatever it is passes. So I know that was a lot and a little bit out of time, but big ideas under the umbrella of risk management.